Arsenal might be 7 points behind in the Premier League title race, but they have scored 7 more goals from corners than any other Premier League team since the start of last season, and we all know that that is the metric that counts. Arsenal 2, Manchester United 0. Let's get into it. Yes, hello and welcome back to another episode of Arsenal Unfiltered, your 3 times a week dose of Arsenal coverage in audio form. My name is Mark, the host of Arsenal Unfiltered, and as you heard at the top, we're going to be discussing last night's 2-0 victory over Manchester United. Now, everyone loves a Man U victory. It's one of the biggest rivalries we've had in the past 20 years, and it's one of the biggest rivalries the Premier League has ever seen. Everyone loves it a little bit more when we absolutely rattle Manchester United fans and have them just all over social media complaining about how we won, complaining about us being Stoke City and Set Piece FC. Absolutely fantastic to see not just 3 points for us, but to see them completely rattled and to see Liverpool drop points as well. That's massive. We'll come on to that context later in the show. But as always with match reviews, I'm going to start with the lineup. Raya, Timber, Saliba, Kivior, Zinchenko, Partey, Rice, Erdegaard, Saka, Havertz, and Martinelli. Now, in the preview that I did, we spoke all about how there's probably going to be a couple of Arsenal players out and we're going to have to deal with that. Arteta mentioned it in his press conference, that a couple of people hadn't been able to train. Marino was obviously on the bench. Him and Partey had missed the squad altogether in the previous game. Partey made the starting 11, and I think he suffered potentially for being rushed back. He did not have a good game in any way, shape or form, apart from one really good pass over the top in the second half. But really the one that we wanted to avoid was that left-hand side being without Gabriel or Calafiori, and that's where we ended up. Kivior, Zinchenko, left-hand side of our defence. And I will be honest and say that was a real worry for me coming into this. The way I had predicted this game going was very different to how it actually went. I predicted a much tougher game. I thought Man U would try and deploy Rashford and Diallo and try and get at us in transition with pace. They didn't do that really at all. I was amazed to see the Manchester United lineup and see, Mason Mount was starting and they'd gone with Dalot and Malacia in those kind of wide areas. I know they are typical wing backs and Diallo is not a typical wing back and he was kind of doing a role there, but I thought this was a strange decision from Ruben Amorim. And to be honest, I thought this was a free hit for Manchester United. I absolutely did. I thought you're away from home with a new manager, and I really expected him to come along and say, you know what, this is my style, this is how I'm going to play, and I'm going to attack this team. Because if I lose, at the end of the day, I'm away, it's a new manager, we get a free pass, actually. If they'd turn up, attacked us, and we'd taken them apart and gone 1-3-0, let's say, no one would be going, oh, Amorim's not the right man for the job. They'd be going, okay, I can see what they're trying to do. I can see why they've done it. And actually, Arsenal are a Premier League challenging side. And it is what it is. Well done for trying to play. They did not come to do that at all. 3-4-3, absolutely not. 5-2-3 is what we watched last night. A lot of people will say that is because Saka and Martinelli are so dangerous and pin them back. But we were really quite poor in that first half, and it was clear that they came out to stop us playing. They really created absolutely nothing in the first half. Their XG was 0.1 in the first half. We didn't create much either, 0.3, but for me, that wasn't through a lack of trying, and it was through a lack of kind of bravery. But I will come on to a comparison between the first half and the second half. For now, I want to talk about those set pieces. And first of all, big props to Nicolas Jover. He is rightly getting credit this week, and as he has done all season, 22 goals from corners. since the start of last season. 7 more than Manchester City in second place with 15. That's unbelievable, isn't it? 22 goals. 22 goals. That is so valuable to us. And the fact that we scored 2 corners without our kind of threat in chief in Gabriel. He wasn't on the pitch. He wasn't even on the bench. We couldn't bring him on. So we didn't have Gabriel. We didn't have Calafiori, who is also a massive height threat. So we did this without 2 massive players. And we probably should have had 3. Shouldn't we? Thomas Partey misses a big chance, really big chance, early doors. Obviously, we'd already had the disallowed goal at that point, but then Thomas Partey, he misses the header entirely and it hits his shoulder. For me, this is the least egregious of Thomas Partey's crimes in this game. He really did not have a good match, but ultimately that ball kind of dropped on him, and I really don't think he was expecting it. I think he was expecting that to get cleared, and he should finish it, absolutely, but it's one of those ones where he needs to be alive to it, but I understand why he's missed that chance. I can get my head round what's happened there. We should have had 3. We should have had that one, but the 2 we did score were absolutely fantastic, and it started on, I believe, the 54th minute with Yuri Timber. It's a great header. That man is like 5'9", 5'10", I think. So he's not huge. Like, when we consider the height of some of our players and generally the height of Premier League defenders, they're all massive guys, right? For him to be getting in there and getting a goal is really impressive. He kind of flicks it on from the near post and glances it in more than anything. It's one of those ones where we start at the back post and we run across. But this is what I really want to talk about. Nicolas Jover has done fantastic things for this club, but he is only 1/3 of this equation for me. And we really have to acknowledge the work Declan Rice has put in. And Bukayo Saka, absolutely, but Bukayo Saka has been there for longer, delivering these balls. The work Declan Rice has put in to make his corners so threatening. I mean, it's incredible what he has done. Those deliveries, I put a post on Blue Sky about it. I think he put 6 or 7 unbelievable corners in. And when I say unbelievable, I mean low, fast, and dropping in a horrible position for the defenders, for the goalkeeper, and so easy as well for our players to attack. Now, I mentioned the Thomas Partey one just before. That's the same place. You know, he puts that in the same place as he does for the Yuri Timber goal. It's so fantastic that we have not only a club that is dedicated and puts enough stock in the little details like set pieces, but actually a team as well that have worked on their skills to enhance bits like that. Delivery. We don't think about delivery as much with set pieces anymore. We think about what we're watching in the box, but Declan Rice is so key to it. He is absolutely brilliant, and I think his deliveries all game were fantastic. The other part of this is squad building. And the Mikel Arteta, Edu before he went on his gardening leave, and the whole team behind scouting and acquiring players should be so proud of themselves, because actually we have a team that is absolutely huge. They are barbarians, and I would not want to defend against a single one of them. Not a single one. How do you defend against guys that are not only big, but nasty? All of those guys are nasty, nasty characters. Not in a bad way, but in a competitive way. They are going to work you. They are going to make sure that you are having a tough time. The likes of Kai Havertz, the likes of Saliba, they are going to make sure your life is miserable trying to defend these corners. And that is exactly what you saw. Manchester United are not a terrible team. When it comes to height or defending corners, we play Spurs and we watch them, and they are just miserable at defending set pieces. Manchester United aren't like that. Mathis de Ligt, they had Harry Maguire on as well, and we know from watching England that Harry Maguire really is quite an asset at defensive set pieces, I should say. And none of them were really anywhere to be seen because our players were just overwhelming them, overpowering them. And I thought it was really positive. So Yep, pan to Nicolas Jover after the result, of course, but we have to acknowledge the delivery and we have to acknowledge the squad building. Absolutely brilliant. The second corner, I think, is a little bit more fortuitous. It's not quite as good a delivery. Let's be honest. Let's hold our hands up. I think this is one of those occasions where it's a bit floaty, and really the defenders should deal with it. They should be more alive to it, but they're not. Partey wins the header at the back post, and we get a bit fortunate. It goes in off Saliba's arse, which is obviously brilliant. He was so delighted. What a celebration. What a knee slide. I'm very happy for him because he has had some rocky moments for Arsenal and France this season, and I'm really happy to see him put in a performance like he did today and get a goal. It was really good to see. And yeah, I think whilst it is a bit lucky, we have to again acknowledge the things that we do in the setup to make this kind of goal, right? It's not the best delivery. It's nowhere near as good as Declan Rice's delivery for the first goal, but actually we're crowding that 6-yard area. We're always delivering in-swingers. I think we've delivered 2 out-swinging corners this year, and that's when Saka wasn't playing, and we've tried it with Rice from the other side. So we're always delivering in-swingers. We're filling that area just in front of the goalkeeper. Of course you're going to get the odd lucky goal. That's what they always would say to the likes of Jermaine Defoe, Mark Viduka, these kind of poacher strikers. Get inside the width of the 6-yard box and get yourself close to goal. Because if a cross comes in or a pass comes in, it's a simple finish. It's the same thing at corners. We put ourselves inside the width of the 6-yard box and we put a good enough ball in there and we benefit from chaos. And actually those structural setup things that we do are so important, so important. So yes, Nicolas Jover, yes, the squad building, yes, the delivery, but it's the simple things really, isn't it? And I just want to comment really more on the reaction as well to the fact that we won with 2 set-piece goals. I think it's so funny and so interesting how other teams' fans react online. I've seen so many comments calling us Stoke City, which, shouldn't be a derogatory term. Stoke City actually did pretty well when they were in the Premier League for that period. And set-piece FC, of course. Now, I think we've scored a lot of goals from corners. Of course we have, but we haven't scored all of our goals from corners. We've got a lot of open play goals this year, and we've got a lot of impressive flowing open play goals as well. We created a lot of chances. I think the reaction is primarily around they wish their teams could stop it, A, and do it for themselves, B. That is where that reaction has come from. It's jealousy. It's absolutely got to be jealousy. And I don't say that to be derogatory to any of the other clubs. Far from it. I think it's more we as Arsenal fans really need to recognise what we've got here. And I come back to the squad building. We can lose Gabriel and still do this and still win a game 2-0 from set pieces and corners. And we needed it. We absolutely needed it. We needed a set piece to burst this game open because up until the goal, the Jurrien Timber goal, Manchester United, as I said before, had come to defend and had defended really well. They'd managed the interior space as well. They'd not allowed us into those spots. And actually, they kind of had managed to kind of kill the crowd a little bit, I felt. And maybe kill some of our confidence by not allowing us the spaces that we needed and that we usually get from teams. Teams often can't stop us from taking those interior spaces. So I was impressed, to be fair. As much as I was disappointed that in Manchester United that they didn't come to play a little bit more, we have to kind of give them the credit of, you know what, they came to defend and they did that really well. Fair play to you. So we needed a set piece to crack this game open, and the idea that an elite club shouldn't be taking care of their set pieces and taking care of every opportunity to score a goal is absolutely crazy to me. And I think it's just, like I say, it's jealousy. People wish they had what we had. We, as Arsenal fans, really need to enjoy it. Really need to kind of applaud the club for that level of squad building, for the time and effort that they've put into it, for backing Nicolas Jover, for giving him a contract and giving him the time with the players to work on this. The players are getting asked a lot at the moment about the set pieces. How are you doing it? How are you doing it? And they're staying very quiet about all of that, rightly so. But you can tell that there is, there's secrets there. There's something going on. if there wasn't anything going on in the background, they'd just say, you know what, we don't work on it that much. We don't work on it that much. But Jurrien Timber mentioned after I think it was after the West Ham game, he said, I can't tell you. I can't tell you how we did that. I can't mention it. So they know what they're doing. They've been through this. They've walked through it. And set piece FC, fine. If that's what they want to call us, I would much rather walk away with 3 points from this game. Like I say, we absolutely needed the set pieces to burst it open. And this is what great teams do, right? This is what great teams do. If it's not working one way, if it's not working the primary way, well, you go another way. You go a different way to win it. And you have to have multiple ways to win games. You think back to all of the teams that have won the Premier League. They have star players who can go and win them a game. They have the ability to counter-attack, but then they also have the ability to dominate you with possession. There is not a team that has won the league playing one way and one way only. Even Arsenal, back in the day, we associate that Arsenal with Robert Pires and Thierry Henry and Dennis Bergkamp and fantastic flowing football, but if we needed to grind out a result, well, the spirit of George Graham was still there, and we would grind out a 1-0 result. Maybe that was from a corner, or maybe it was a running Patrick Vieira, bursting through to score, and that's the only goal of the game. You have to be able to win games in different ways. Well, I think that's what other fans just aren't quite recognising right now. I'm really pleased that we have an Arsenal nowadays that can win in multiple different ways, and that's what we did last night. So they were the goals. Let's quickly talk about that first half versus the second half, and quite how different it was. Watching the first half, I really felt that we were scared to lose, and I've heard this narrative before, and I think it's worth repeating. Sometimes when we play Manchester United, we play the badge, and we play the tension that's in the stadium. Manchester United is a really special club for Arsenal fans because of that kind of 7-year period where it was us and them. They won 4 titles, we won 3. That was vicious and nasty, and it was a rivalry that I don't think we've ever seen replicated, ever. Manchester United and Chelsea then went against each other for titles, and that was a little bit nasty. We've seen a Liverpool-Chelsea rivalry, a little bit nasty, but not that nasty. Manchester City-Liverpool has basically been a love fest for the last 6 years. I'm not even sure you can call it too much of a rivalry as well. So, the Manchester United-Arsenal rivalry back in the early 2000s was vicious, and all the Arsenal fans have that level of tension associated with that, and we have trauma, I think, from that time. So when these games come around, we all really want to win them. You want to win every game, right? I am going to sit there on Sunday and really want to beat Fulham, really want to beat them. Even when we play the North London derby, I am desperate to beat them, but there is just something about a Manchester United game. It's almost a nervousness. Playing Spurs, I really, really want to beat them, but I'm not nervous about not beating them, if that makes sense. With Manchester United, I feel nervous about not beating Manchester United. It feels like something that would be disastrous were it to happen. So I think we had that tension in us in the first half, if I'm being honest. I think we didn't look like we had a joined up press, which is something I would never say about Arsenal this year. I felt like we looked scared to play at times. There were times where we had the ball in the back 4, and I saw very few people offering. Martin Odegaard had to drop in an offer, which we have seen at times, but I always think if Martin Odegaard's the one dropping in and offering, well, we've got a bit of a problem there because he's doing it to get us out. Yeah, absolutely. But where's Thomas Partey? Where's the inverted fullback from either side? Is there not an option at the left 8? Actually, I would kind of think of that route of build-up through Martin Odegaard as the direct recipient of a pass from the back 4 that isn't, a really progressive pass where he has to drop deep and get it. I always think that's a worrying sign, and he did that about twice in the first half. If it's a ball 30 yards pinged into his feet, absolutely I'm fine with it, but, it's the ones where he drops in and has to pick it up in not our third, but, where the defence is operating and try and move us forward from there. I always think that's worrying. So there was certainly an air of we didn't have control of the game. Like I mentioned before, Manchester United absolutely deserved their credit. They came with a game plan that worked for a very long period of time, dominate the interior. make sure that when they win the ball back, they don't lose it, make the first 2 passes and get out. We did turn the ball over a number of times, but they were very, very quick to recover. And that's something we did not see under Erik ten Hag at all. So I think Ruben Amorim has already done quite a good job. When we won the ball back, it looked like Arsenal, didn't it? It looked like Arsenal in the way we recover and how we recover into our shape. They did that incredibly quickly and incredibly well. And I think they really do deserve credit for that. So as much as I think we were playing the occasion and playing the game, and I predicted that the environment and the kind of atmosphere would work for us. I don't think it did. I think quite quickly it got a little bit tense inside the stadium and the players felt that. All of that being said, Manchester United did really well in the first half. And I do think they should have come to play us a bit more, like I mentioned earlier. But they didn't. And what they did come to do is make it difficult for us. And they did that really, really well. However, the second half came about, obviously. And it looked like there was a complete change. And I put on Blue Sky, this is where Mikel Arteta has to earn his money. Because we're not under threat. Manchester United weren't going to go and win that game, I don't believe. Or if they were, it was going to be, not necessarily a deserved win. They would be nicking it. And Mikel Arteta had to do something to get us over the line, to get us a victory here. And we can talk about the set pieces all you want, but we went from creating barely anything. First half we created 0.3 XG, second half we created 1.7. Now, a big chunk of that was from the corners, but you have to be moving forward and creating chances to get corners. You have to be in dangerous positions, creating, deep completions and having the field tilt. The field tilt in the first half was 54% in our favour, 69% in our favour in the second half. So you could tell that whatever Mikel Arteta, he said after the game, tweaks. We made tweaks. We don't know what they were. I couldn't spot them at least. But we made tweaks that got us further up the pitch and got us into position to earn corners to score. So Mikel Arteta absolutely did earn his money. And to be honest, to me, it looked like a good old-fashioned rollicking. It really did. They came out with a level of intensity in the second half that I don't think we've seen since the City game. Even in the Liverpool game, I don't think we matched that level of running. And the guys in that second half went from a bit nervous to press, not pressing together, not really competing as well with Manchester United in the individual duels as they should have done, to absolutely barbaric levels of running. I'm really determined to win their duels. Jurrien Timber, what a man. He changed entirely, and I think the same for Declan Rice. Those guys looked like they took it upon themselves to go and win this game. William Saliba as well, he had a fantastic game, not just offensively, but driving the team forward. And in recent weeks, we've seen Bukayo Saka and Martin Odegaard really excel, and it's been a kind of case of give it to them, and we'll work around you guys. They weren't firing on all cylinders, like I say, largely due to Manchester United doing really, really well in their own third of the pitch. But what that left was space for people like Rice, Timber, Saliba to drive forward with the ball. I mean, Rice did it at one point. I really loved this move down the left-hand side where he carried the ball for about 50 yards. One of those Declan Rice signature moves, picks the ball up deep, kind of looks around, there's no passes on. Okay, sod it, I'm going for it. And he just turboed down the left-hand side and worked with Martinelli, and they eventually got a corner. So, I think we came out in that second half with so much more intensity, and we went from scared to lose to showing the bravery and the determination to win. And I think maybe the Liverpool result or what was going on in the Liverpool game was fed to them. I don't know. Maybe it was just a good old-fashioned hairdryer treatment from Mikel Arteta because they looked really, really up for it all of a sudden. And I think those three in particular, Rice, Timber and Saliba, need real credit for what they did in that second half. Before I carry on and kind of sum up and talk about some of our individual performances, what I'd like to just ask is if you have enjoyed this episode of Arsenal Unfiltered, or you've enjoyed any episode of Arsenal Unfiltered, please drop us a follow wherever you get your podcasts from. That would really help me support me, I should say, to grow the community, grow the Arsenal Unfiltered community, and expand what we're doing. It's 3 times a week, free, entirely free, into your podcast provider. If you follow, you will see all of the episodes I'm releasing. We do 2 match reviews a week, and I will also do a topical review around, a topic around the club. Those episodes are a little bit shorter, a little bit snappier, whereas the match reviews are a little bit longer, and we talk more about the games. So if you have enjoyed it, like I say, please do drop a follow wherever you get your podcasts. It's a massive help. Thank you. So moving on to the top performers of the game. I've already mentioned some there. Saliba was magnificent, gave Højlund and Xerxes nothing. Højlund obviously started the game, Xerxes came on, and they really were feeding off scraps. Saliba, I don't know if there is a better one-on-one defender in the world. I really don't, and that sounds like a real Arsenal fans getting carried away and exaggerating. I think Van Dijk is genuinely the only one that can rival him. And to be honest, how much longer has Van Dijk got at the top level? 1-2 years tops. He is 31 now. Contract, we don't know about Van Dijk's contract. He may be off somewhere in the summer, somewhere where he doesn't shine quite as much. I do think William Saliba is that next top centre-back in the world if he's not there already. And I certainly think in a one-on-one, he is absolutely Van Dijk's equal. He might not have everything that Van Dijk has in terms of leadership, and Van Dijk aerially is just another level above everyone else, but I do think when someone is running at Saliba or running at Van Dijk, they are as good as each other. Or running alongside, I think that's one of Saliba's superpowers. He can run alongside anyone, any striker, any winger, and get his body across them, marshal them, get control of the scenario, and somehow leave with the ball. Højlund was, like I say, feeding off scraps, and when we had the ball, because we weren't progressing it very well, Saliba was the man who took that on and progressed it. Jurrien Timber, another guy, really combative in his duels in the second half. I thought he was fantastic. But my man of the match, and I think the Premier League man of the match, was Declan Rice. Like I said, he got the assist. He did that kind of 50-60 yard carry. There were a couple of monster tackles. As Manchester United made the subs, got Rashford on, got Xerxes on, I think they got Diallo on. They were trying to go for it, as I think they should have really done from the start. He was colossal. Absolutely colossal in those kind of defensive zones and in the midfield, the middle of the pitch especially. He did a fantastic job with a couple of humongous tackles. He was energetic, and he was by far the bravest player on the pitch, and it looked like he just said, we are not winning this game. We must get 3 points here, and if it's on me to do it, that's fine. I will carry that load. And it's the first time this season that I think we've seen Declan Rice really shine. He had a really good game for England in one of the international breaks, and I thought, he's back. He feels better, but then he got that broken toe, and it just slowed things down again. I don't know if he's still playing with injections. I don't think anyone really knows if he's playing through pain or not, but he did not look like it in that second half. He did not look like it at all. His running was incredible. Covered so much ground. And weird observation, but he did the interviews afterwards, and I think we've seen Declan Rice do the interviews a couple of times afterwards recently. For the first time, he looked externally exhausted. He was covered in sweat. Really, the rain would come down on him as well, but he was covered in sweat. But there was still energy behind his eyes, I thought, for the first time after a game for a while. When he's done interviews before, he kind of seemed as tired as he looked. Here, I thought he still felt like he had energy and could have gone on maybe. So that's really positive to see, and I think that is a really good indication that his fitness might be on the way up. And for a player like Declan Rice, fitness is everything. I want to give a shout out to Jakub Kiwior as well before I move on to the 2 players that I think had really ropey games. Jakub Kiwior was really impressive to me. Really impressive. And I don't think we can underestimate how difficult that job is. To come in and have your first Premier League start of the season against Manchester United in a big game, an occasion game, a special game, and replace the player that is currently, everyone's talking about. He's doing the Batman celebration. He's scoring from corners. Everyone loves Gabriel at the moment. To come in and replace him, so difficult. So difficult. And I think he has done a fantastic job. Now, people will point to the clearance in the first half that led to the Dalot shot, and I think quite rightly that's a Jakub Kiwior-ism. I don't think Gabriel does that. I don't think Saliba does that. He is not our best defender, and he has those moments in him. But I'll forgive him a moment like that because everything else in his performance was superb. One-on-one, he was brilliant, and his decision-making was the best I've ever seen it on the ball. And what I mean by that is Gabriel and Saliba can really pass a football. They are incredible players on the ball. They really are. And I think you can say that about a lot of our defenders. Jurriën Timber certainly looks that way. Zinchenko is brilliant on the ball, of course, we know that. Calafiori is developing that. He's only 22, so he's got a long way to go. But Kiwior is not that guy. And sometimes we've seen him try and play where he shouldn't to almost try and match those other guys. And I think yesterday, he played when he should play. And actually, in a scenario where maybe Gabriel would have passed it, and Saliba would have passed it, and they would have found their way out of a scenario, he didn't try and match that. And he just said, do you know what? This is going in the channel, or it's going to Kai. That's where my level is. That's what I can do. I can channel this. I can put this on Kai's head. I'm not going to try and play an intricate 1-2 with Zinchenko here. I'm going to channel it. And is that the way we want to play all the time? No, but we have Gabriel and Saliba for most of the games, for 90% of the games. I would much rather a second string or a third string, you could probably argue, centre-back comes in and says, you know what, my level is X. So I'm not going to try and play past that. I'm going to do what I can. I'm going to be solid, secure. I'm not going to give a silly ball away and give up a goal or a chance. And actually, I will trust the rest of you to do everything else that we need to do. I think that's the first time I can genuinely, hand on heart, say that about Jakub Kiwior, that he played to his level, and that helped him. It helped him because he wasn't trying to be Gabriel. He was being Jakub Kiwior, and because of that, we didn't give away many cheap chances. So I thought that was really, really good. So very impressed with him. Onto the players who didn't have such a great game. I mentioned it at the start. Thomas Partey was not good. And it's such a shame because I've sat here for probably hours now and spoken about how good Thomas Partey's been this year. How he feels like a changed player. Which is really incredible. I did not think I'd say that at any point. Having watched him last year and thought, I think you're done, mate. Having seen the number of games he missed through injury, and then this year going, wow, he's back. He is performing at his highest ever level for Arsenal. I thought, okay, this is great. This is fantastic. We've rediscovered a player. He's missed one game, and suddenly the next game he's back in, and he was misplacing passes left, right, and centre. And I thought to myself, wow, is that all it was? One game it took to completely derail his momentum, to completely derail his highest level of performance for Arsenal that I can remember, that I think we've ever seen. One game out and he's lost his rhythm. He's lost his touch. He's lost his ability to make the right decision, his passing. And I hope we didn't rush him back from his injury too early. That's the only thing that can be in my head. I don't think a player with that much experience at the highest level, who've been playing as well as Thomas Partey, can be derailed so significantly by one game out. So I just wonder if we brought him back a little bit too early and he physically didn't feel sharp enough, or there was something still going on in his thigh that was making him a little bit uncomfortable and affecting his performance levels. I just wonder. I will be fair to him. I thought he improved as it went on, and I thought he improved as he went to right back, and he did play a couple of really nice passes over the top. So it wasn't all a disaster, but for me, it was just worrying that he had one game out, and it was straight back into misplacing passes. The other player that I thought had a really interesting game was Zinchenko, because to the eye, I don't think he really did anything too wrong until they put Diallo on. The second Manchester United put Diallo on, and this is the reason why I can't understand why they're so defensive, put Diallo on. Diallo went at him, skinned him, and he had to give away a free kick before Diallo got into the penalty area. He got booked for that, and they created a really significant chance. They probably should have scored. It's a wonderful save from David Raya off De Ligt header from that very free kick. And this is why I thought, and I want to give Manchester United credit. I don't think you should criticise teams for defending when they're playing against a title challenger. I don't think you should criticise that at all. But I think they missed an opportunity to get at us down that left-hand side. When they brought Diallo on, they were able to do that and did it almost instantly. And it led to a yellow card and Zinchenko getting hooked. And I don't know if anyone else noticed, but that yellow card happened and instantly Manchester United, like 2 minutes later, tried to go back down that side. They switched it over there very quickly. And you could see Diallo heading for Zinchenko, thinking, I've got you on toast. And Martinelli didn't have his best game. He missed a big chance. But what he did do in this moment was absolutely turbocharged himself towards that situation. I don't think I've ever seen him move that quick. It was incredible. And he knew, I need to get in front of this player so that Zinni is not on his own. Zinni is not isolated because Zinni's on a yellow card. And say what you want about Martinelli's performance yesterday. That was a highlight for me. And I thought, what a brave young man, what a intelligent young man to get out there, get to Diallo and make sure that doesn't develop into a red card that makes this a really tricky game all of a sudden. So fantastic that from Martinelli. But as I said, Zinchenko got hooked. We went Timber at left back, Partey at right back, and I think that was a good, smart move from Mikel Arteta. Mikel Arteta, like I said, he had to earn his money in this game, and I think he did. He made some smart substitutions at the right time. He really got into them and said whatever he said at half-time and dealt with that kind of apathy, I guess, towards the game and made sure that we came out and won the match in the second half. So that's our match and the review of our game, obviously defined by a couple of corners that I'm delighted to see us doing, a couple of really top performers, and that whatever happened in that half-time team talk changed the game massively. Credit to Manchester United for their defensive effort, but where does this leave us? What's happened in the Premier League? Well, Chelsea are right up there, aren't they? 5-1 versus Southampton. Southampton are miserable, absolutely miserable as a Premier League football team, and I can't see any scenario but them going down unless they sack Russell Martin right now. They need to get rid of him right now. But Chelsea look good. They have exactly the same record as us, better on goal difference now. And I think they've played a number of tough games already. So let's see, is it a honeymoon period with Maresca, or is it, they're here to come and challenge? But our main title rivals at the moment, at least, are Liverpool, and they drop points to Newcastle. I did kind of predict there is a chance that Newcastle get a result with this being an evening match at St James's Park. I watched a bit of it, obviously, in the UK. Amazon Prime had it, so you can kind of jump between the channels. So I did watch a bit of it. Fantastic first goal from Isak. He's in my fantasy team, so that was really, really quite appreciated. And obviously they equalised, Newcastle equalised, I should say, in the final minute to bring it back to 3-3. Great result for Arsenal. Obviously, anytime Liverpool drop points, it pulls us closer. It got us within 7 points. I do have this nagging feeling, though, that something is going to have to change about Mohamed Salah if we want to win this Premier League. Because as much as our players have been brilliant this year, the likes of Bukayo Saka and Martin Odegaard, that man is on another level right now. Some of his finishes last night were really impressive. 2 assists from Trent as well. That right-hand side needs breaking up. I don't know if we need to see the contract negotiations go down the pan or an injury just to disrupt their rhythm or something like that. Not that you'd ever wish that on anyone, but that man is in electric form, and to go away from home in any game, to concede 3 goals in the Premier League, home or away, you would be expecting you're not going to win it. You're not going to get anything out of it. You're probably going to lose. But if you have a Mohamed Salah in your team who can bag you 2 goals and an assist, of course, I mean, he is pulling them along at the moment. And I think if he was not in their team, they're nowhere near the top of the Premier League. So I really, really do think that if we are going to win this, Mo Salah's form is going to have to drop off. But we can only do what we can do. We can only beat the teams in front of us. I'm going to call this podcast to an end right now because we've been going 40 minutes and I want to get this out to you so you can listen and, send me your thoughts on Blue Sky or comment. I think you can comment now on Spotify, which is pretty cool, on the podcast. Like I said in the middle, if you've enjoyed this episode or any episode of Arsenal Unfiltered, please do consider following us wherever you get your podcasts from. It really helps me grow the community and grow the podcast so I can keep bringing you 3 times a week content all about the Arsenal. But for now, thank you for following, thank you for listening, and I'll talk to you very, very soon.